Alrighty, so we're going to have a little rundown of the contract negotiations and the tentative agreement that our negotiations team signed this past month. We sunshined Articles 9 and 10 and 14, and then salary is always open, so that's Article 16. So first off, Article 10 was one that the teachers sunshined because we wanted to change the evaluation process. Our point was once a teacher has been in the district for a long time, like 15 years, they've gone through this formal evaluation process many, many times, between 5 and 6 times, I think, by the time they get to their 15th year. And if they're consistently getting meets or exceeds standards on all of their evaluations, it seems like a bit of a waste of time to continue evaluating that teacher. At least that was my opinion. And so I suggested that maybe if a teacher fits this criteria, 15 years in the district at least, and every single one of their evaluations has met or exceeded standards, then from that point on throughout their career, it no longer has to be that big formal goal setting conference with 2 observations and then the formal evaluation. So it's going to be cut down to just one formal observation with a lesson plan. There'll be a pre and post observation conference and then a final evaluation meeting. This is going to free up time for all the principals who are having to fit into their schedule all of these conferences and all these observations with newer teachers. And it gives veteran teachers time where we don't have to keep setting all these goals and working through the process. I know it's only every 5 years by the time you get to 15 years, but still, it's just so much easier. Just come on in, watch a lesson. You can see I'm still teaching. I'm still doing everything I need to do. That should be enough. So they agreed to that, and so that is the change for Article 10. For Article 14, we have been consistently trying to communicate to teachers the difference between personal leave and personal necessity. Well, we've finally gotten it changed in the contract to where it's no longer going to be 2 separate leaves. It's just going to be called personal necessity leave. And we're still taking those leave days out of our 10 sick days that we get every single year. But instead of being able to use only 5, now it can be 7, can be dedicated to personal necessity days. Personal necessity days used to be used often for like taking care of a sick child that is at home. But now that's going to be classified under sick leave. So if you are taking care of a child who is sick, you can file that as sick leave and it will not count toward your personal necessity leave days. So you'll still have that 7 number of days. So we think this is a good change. It's going to make the accounting simpler for the district, and it's going to make it so much easier for teachers to fill out the form for when they need to take an absence. This Article 9 is one that the district proposed. They were having issues this past summer where a teacher was giving their resignation in late July. And that made it very, very difficult for them to accept the resignation and fill that vacant position in time for the new school year to open up. And so it just becomes a problem because often a teacher wants to go to a neighboring district or wants to move, and it was a last-minute opening that they applied for and they got. But it's like you can't leave our district hanging. We understood that point of view. So this is now being incorporated into our intent letters. I think you might have already seen it. I'm not quite sure exactly how it's been written in the intent letters, to be honest with you. But still, this part of the article that's been changed is if the new contract year is started July 1st, if you find a job elsewhere, you need to let the district know as quickly as possible, and they are not going to give up your position and allow you to resign until they have filled that position. So it is in your best interest. If you are interested in teaching in another district, you need to go through the process and hopefully find those positions before July 1st. In the event that something opens up last minute and it's your dream job, you're going to have to communicate with the district and just understand that you're putting them in a bind. So we agreed to that. Now, for salaries. First thing we did lobby for some stipends to be added. The people doing student leadership have been doing that on their own time for years now, and we feel like they deserve a stipend. So the district agreed to pay them $1,800 a year stipend for taking on that responsibility with middle school. Also, I believe it was the district that wanted the district gate liaison and the esports people to also receive stipends. So we agreed, yeah, anytime a teacher takes those positions, they should get compensated for it. So we've added 3 new stipends for extra duty pay. Now, for the pay raise, it's important to understand we're not getting the same COLA that we've gotten in previous years. You can see that we got 6.56 in 2022-23. We got 8.22 with the previous negotiations. And this year, it's fallen off a lot. It was like originally supposed to be 0.76%. And then with the May revise, it jumped up to 1.07. But we were thinking, you know, this might depend on whether or not the bond measures pass in November. I was personally thinking if that was voted down, that the district still in that crunch for, you know, doing repairs to their different schools was not going to be offering us much of anything. And it was going to be a tough negotiations. But we were holding out. It's like, okay, we want the 1.07%. Figure out some other way to figure out a way to fix those schools. So what ended up happening was we ended up settling on 1.08%, and we got them to give us a one-time stipend of $1,250 per teacher. The ongoing 1.08 is above the COLA. We felt like that was fair. And what that's going to do, if you look at the top here, I couldn't obviously fill in every single salary step. But if you're a B1, you're going to come in at $56,193. If you include that one-time stipend, that's like you're getting a 3.3% raise this year. If you are C10, the combined raise plus the stipend feels it essentially is a 2.7% raise this year. If you're a column E, step 16, you're going to start at $96,303. That's going to essentially, with the stipend, give you a 2.4% raise. And then the highest salary on the salary schedule is now going to be $113,274. Well, $113,274 plus the stipend, which essentially gives those teachers a 2.2% raise. Now, we also are still trying to get our special education teacher positions to have a salary that is that will draw in people who would want to work for our district. We keep telling the district that, you know, it's an important position. We can't get anyone to come to our district. We have to increase the pay for speech and language and special education. So they have increased all of those stipends that we negotiated for special education in the last negotiations. They're increasing all of those by $500. And a speech and language teacher that comes brand new to our district will immediately start at step number 12 and work their way forward from there. Like I said, it's one of those special things where it's like, we've been paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for specialists that aren't teachers within our district to do this job. If we want to hire people and keep them, we're going to have to increase the pay. So that's what we did. So hopefully you are okay with all of these agreements that we have made. If you are, we're going to ask that you vote to agree to ratify this tentative agreement. It'll then go before the board April something, the April meeting, and hopefully we'll get all of this taken care of by April. We'll get retro checks for our pay raise retroactive to July of 2024, and we will get a check for those stipends. Thank you very much.